Recently went to Six Flags Great Adventure for the second time, and while it was a little worse than my last visit, it's still a park I highly recommend. I now know a lot more about the park than before, so I'm happy to give you all the details you need to know about Great Adventure. Anyways, subscribe! One of the things Six Flags Great Adventure does great. To be fair though, they have one of the top lineups of the country, if not the world. Their headlining attraction is El Toro. Now this could be a no-brainer for some people, but I didn't get a great ride the last time I went to Great Adventure. Don't get me wrong, the airtime is, or was, and I'll get to that in a sec, amazing. The first drop took me by surprise again, and the camelbacks are super strong, and the Rolling Thunder Hill is the goddamn Rolling Thunder Hill. The pacing was also really good. I was honestly surprised how fast Kia Trains could actually go. Anyways, the roughness was what put it down for me. The rattle was quite noticeable in the airtime moments, which took a lot of value away from the most valuable thing on this ride. If it was smooth, it would be in my top 10, maybe even the top 5, but spoiler alert, it's not. Most of you guys know we might never see El Toro again because of the accident from a few months ago, so appreciate the time you had with El Toro. Moving on to the number 2 in the park, King de Ka, the world's tallest coaster. Ka's 30 or so seconds are probably the greatest rush on any coaster out there, in the front row at least. Literally just forget the back row, it just sucks all around. Anyways, moving on to my number 3 in the park, Nitro. Talk about a ride that has fallen from grace. This was my number 5 overall before I went back. I got much better rides when I went in 2018. It actually had some ejector and was running really fast, while my 2022 rides were much weaker. Average floater, no ejector, the Helix didn't do as much, but it's still probably going to make my top 25 in the end. Now, a coaster that surprised my expectations was their newest coaster, Jersey Devil Coaster. I'm gonna sound like a GP right here, but I don't care. It's got some really underrated airtime. I can't believe I just said that. This was right behind Nitro, and it could have even been higher ranked if I hadn't ridden Skyrush the day before. Yeah, the airtime hurt. Overall, though, it was very strong, both in snappy elements and the airtime. Even though the airtime still hurt, I still enjoyed flying out of my seat. A lot of people who had ridden it before made it out to be a weak ride. Yeah, it's a weak RMC, but it's still really good in my opinion. Now let's move on to the supporting cast. Unlike most other Six Flags parks, Great Adventure has depth to its lineup. Superman Ultimate Flight is a pretty solid flying coaster. I mean, it's a flying coaster. What do you expect? It's gonna be solid. The pretzel loop intensity combined with the graceful rest of the elements makes any flying coaster good, and Superman is no different. Plus, you actually feel like Superman because, I mean, you're flying. I think that's what they were going for. Batman the Ride is a pretty strong invert. It's small, but it packs an intense punch. That corkscrew hits hard every time. The final coaster I feel like talking about right now is Medusa, the rethemed Bizarro. I thought the layout was really boring. I mean, it had Scream's layout, but at least they sprinkled many effects throughout the layout, which isn't a Six Flags thing to do, so it made the coaster quite interesting in my opinion. The color scheme sucks though. Like, why would you put orange supports with green track? It doesn't mix well in my opinion, and probably everyone else's opinion. Great Adventure also has a Joker free spin, but I'm too lazy to talk about it because it's just like every other free spin. Now let's move on to the... Great Adventure has some pretty good flat rides. The headlining flat ride is Zumanjuro Drop of Doom, the tallest drop tower in the world. It's just like another normal drop tower, except the rise to the top is really slow, which increases tension. Another great flat ride is Wonder Woman Pendulum Ride. It's a pretty tall pendulum, and you know what they say, you can never go wrong with a pendulum ride. Actually, no one said that. But, okay, anyways. Another good flat ride at Great Adventure is probably the biggest ad of a ride I've ever seen at a park, and it's Twister.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
Now, like, what is this? Despite the ad, it's a fun ride. Again, just like your common, whatever the hell you call these rides. Another good flat ride is one I didn't have the opportunity to ride, and that's Cyborg Cyberspin. It looks really weird, but seems to have the same ride experience as Twister. You flip. And there's an enjoyable ride for the family, Sky Scream. You don't scream though. It's just a tame Starflyer flat ride, great views, and a good break from the intense coasters of Great Adventure. Well, that about does it for flat rides. Let's move on to the... Like I said in my Hersheypark review, these northern parks can't have too deep of a water ride lineup because they're cold, and Great Adventure is a great example of that. To my awareness, the only major Great Adventure water ride is their log flume near Medusa, and I didn't get to ride that. I assume it's just another normal log flume, so I guess let's move on to the... Little things, like I always say, are just as important as the coasters. And this is where Great Adventure goes from great to good. That's a nice way of saying that the little things at Great Adventure are not really good. The little things include ops, theming, food, landscaping, and no add transportation because I realize how important it is. The ops at Great Adventure, for the most part, were the worst out of any park I've gone to. I know these aren't ops, but security made me and my friend wait by the entrance while Mom went back to her car with my GoPro. I was definitely gonna use it for vlogging. Definitely. The people said I couldn't bring my GoPro into the park at all, which is fine if it's policy, but it's not, as Magic Mountain let my GoPro into the park. Then, when we tried to get into the park 30 minutes later, they were being super picky and rude about season passes, which again, Magic Mountain, another Six Flags park, didn't do. Anyways, I got pretty off track. The ops themselves were not bad. They were actually pretty nice, but they were most of the time only running one-train ops. The theming, no surprise, was mid at best. Honestly, the theming isn't one of those things that will deter me from a park if it's bad. It's just nice to have, and Great Adventure, like all the other Six Flags parks, doesn't have much. I mean, it's a little hard to enjoy when everything is #ad. I mean, you got the Twix-themed ride, Kia trains on Toro, an M&M-themed Sky Ride, and almost every other ride being DC-themed. The food was alright. I mean, it's not Disney or Universal, so there's not going to be a luxury sit-down restaurant in the park. It's about what you expect when you hear theme park food. Burgers, pizza, etc. They did have churros, so that's nice. And if you're wondering, we had dinner at our hotel, not the park. The landscaping was forgettable, except for some of the ponds near Toro and Medusa. If you've ever seen the pond with the fountain in the middle of Maverick, it's like that. Apart from that, there's nothing to write home about. Oh, and the bamboo next to King the Ka. The layout of Great Adventure is top tier. I love that the park is kind of split. One end has a bunch of rides such as Toro, Ka, Superman that are super compact, and the other side has a bunch of rides such as Jersey Devil, Nitro, and Batman that are all super compact too. And guess what? The M&M Sky Ride perfectly connects the two sides. It makes a huge difference in your experience. It's the difference between needing to stay from 10 a.m. to closing to hit everything you want to, versus only needing to stay like 7 to 8 hours to hit everything you want without stress. That kind of included transportation in it, so I guess I'll skip that. I mean, I'm not skipping it, but you know what I mean. One more thing to add for little things though is they have a mini zoo adjacent to King the Ka and Toro. You'd think that Six Flags being Six Flags wouldn't focus too much on their zoos, but I feel like ever since Blackfish, theme parks have definitely and rightfully been forced to keep great conditions for their animals, and you can see that with the zoo. They have plenty of space for their tigers, lions, and other animals I didn't get a look at. It's great to see. Well, now let's move on to the... Like I said in all my other reviews, on-site hotels are important because it's great when they're there, but it sucks when they aren't. Mostly. Well, there aren't any on-site hotels at Great Adventure, to everyone's surprise. However, like I said with King's Dominion, I'd make a 2-park trip to Great Adventure in Hershey, so when you're done with Great Adventure on day 1, you can make the pretty short drive to one of Hershey's hotels and go to Hershey on day 2. However, if you plan on staying in a hotel near Great Adventure, the one I stayed in was really good, and it was the Hamilton, New Jersey Hilton Garden Inn. It's about 20 minutes away. Well, I guess that'll do it for Great Adventure. I hope you enjoyed the video and helped you plan a trip here. Also, ask me any questions below, and I'll hopefully see you later.